So going back to this RASHASH, we're going to be on page Tov Kuf Pei Zayin. So a really important principle that we've learned here is that when you see the Shil of Havayah-Adni, it is the koach that allows the nukva to move up. So you see it all over, especially if you're using a Sfardi or a Matak Medivash series, you see it every place. And so that's a place that I've been trying to focus on in my davening anyway, but now he gave a definition to what it is, something else that it does. Let's look at the top of this page, and we'll just look at the page briefly too. So he says, in number Yud Ches at the top, he says, Yekaven laham shechaloha ara ma'achrei ha-teferes. So it's going to be behind the teferes. Is there anpin? And this is what your kavanah is that you're going to send him Havayah-Adni, the shlosha mab, and 3 times mab. And here on the mabs, the asam. Here are the 3 mabs. And in combination, they're going to make v'hem kamispa rayo imakolel. So they come out, here's another rayo. So I thought maybe it would be good if I just went back a little bit to page Tov Kuf Ayin Gimel, to go back over there, and just to get some idea more about what's going on in rayo. From his explanation here, I'm not sure that I got it 100% either, but he writes on the first column in the big paragraph, the first big paragraph, it says, Hine Rosh Hashanah hu Yom Adin, Lefi shebo mascheles hamalchus dehibonos mitzad hagavura shebo. She's full of gavuros, and she needs to be built up for the side of her gavuros. Now, okay, the fish ain't hadinim nim talking ela b'shorshim. So all of those phrases right there are no problem. So he says, therefore, tzarech lekaven al shem rayo. Now, rayo is a gematria gavura. Now here he's not explaining really what rayo is, but he's saying that rayo is from the side of gavur, shem b'sham nimshachin kol gavuros, because this name is where all the gavuros come from. But since you're using rayo instead of just gavura, because gavura is what it's not that you're changing it, but you're combining the gavuros with something else that is allowed it to become sweetened. That's what I think he means, but it doesn't say all of that the way I wanted him to. So let's go back over to where we are in number Yud Ches, and he just got done telling us that there's a rayo here. And on this rayo is a combination of asam, that is all the letters of it, each one of them is a 42. 3 times 42 is, I think it's 126. I'm not sure. 3 times 42, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 4 is 12. That's right. 126. You add that on to 91, and you're going to get to rayas. I think it's rayas, but at any rate, it's rayo with a kola. So let's see what this means and how we have no, like, say, rule book. That's why I keep saying I'm not trying to lament this. I'm just searching for it. It has to be some kind of a rule book that I don't have that allows the Rav to say, to bring us to these combinations that make 26. It can't be just random. So I don't know what the string is. That's why I keep saying. Haliyah hareviyah hi menetzach v'hod teferes. So this is going to be the 3rd level. Okay, yesh lahamshech lenuk shenimsas adayim bebria. We still got the nuk. Remember, she's still in bria, and she doesn't come up until you start getting into the zakifas. And what are we sending her? From the backside is their anpin. We're sending ha'arama akrel teferes is their anpin for the back of the teferes section of their anpin, which is the trunk of his body, I guess. Kedei liten ba koach shetuchol la'alo achar kach ad the teferes dezah. So I was looking, but here's another idea. He says you're bringing her this shefa, which is going to make it possible for her to come up to that level on the backside of their anpin. And then he says, Vihine, Etzel the Teferis, the Efshel and Mosba Bechinas Raya. By Teferis, we said before that you can't be Kaf He Chasadim Commotion Nirmaz B'Shar Chasviros Shaharim Bavur La'el She'ain B'Teferis He Chasadim. That really required. So what does it have? It has a tremendous amount of light, he says, but not 5 Chasadim. So I'm not really quite sure that I could see how that works. But anyway, that's the fact. So therefore we have to have another where we can't use the Teferis in our set of 5s, which we were using before. Behind the Sededus, which comes to 125, so we'll use something that comes to 126. Behind the Rashach Teferis, Yeshnan Shlosha Shemos Asab. In Teferis, you have the 3 lines. Now, I'm not sure that I have this in evidence. He says that the Teferis is the pool in which the 3 lights, I guess one inside the next, you might say, is Av inside of Sag, and Sag is inside of Ma, and Ma is Teferis. And the Chlalos Bo, which are part of it. So that's my explanation of how the Av and the Sag got there. Each one of them has 42 letters. And then he's going to show us, for those of us who need this review, so he says them all out, and here they are here. And then there's 28 letters in the Milui of the Milui, and he shows it to us again. V'sak kulam come to be Mab, 42. So this is your name of 42. Now, it's interesting because 42 we see in other places is the movement from one world to the next, being able to move up, and here we're doing the same thing. We're doing it with this Rayo. V'chein ku legabe shem sag v'shem ma shebekol echem bechem yeshnam mab osios. Now I'll read it out. I'll forget what I was going to say. B'shlosha pamim ma b'hem kuf kav vav, that's 126. Kasher nitzaref alechem, the misbetzadi aleph, which is apparently the catalyst which causes everything to move. Shal shem Havayah-Adni. Olim rayas, it comes to the 217. Communion Rayo with a kollel. So there's a rule apparently here that you could add the kollel on. Okay, that's what he does. Or if you have this number, you can find a Rayo in it. But I'm just thinking you could find that's what bothers me. You could find a Rayo a lot of different places. But he says this is the place that you have to follow down that line to find the Rayo. You have to get to 120 to 217. And take away their shorish, then there's a Rayo in there. If it's Yuri Hashem of the Lalon, so later on he says that we go further, move a shil of Havayah-Adni she'olim tzadi aleph, it brings that. He said, v'achar kach move Hashem Havayah the Av v'hamilui the milui shalom. So he said the Lalon, I'm not sure what that meant, because here it is, it's up above. V'chein muvon sham Havayah the Sag v'dema. They also have the same thing, which is going to give you the 42, which here is a picture of the 42 on this page. Now, we finished Baruch. All of those things had the Baruch, and you move the Nook up to the level. He's going to call it the 4th level. I'm thinking it's 3 levels up, but he's calling the 4th, because he called it Malchus, then Yesod, then Netzach and Hod. Malchus Yesod, Netzach and Hod, and Teferis is 4. So let's look at this one here, and let's see if we can read across before it gets a whole bunch more complicated. He says, on the word Atah, and there's a number Yud Tes on Atah, but let's read this. So he said, when you say the word Atah, this is your Kavanot. The Hamshik Ma'os Aleph Dekasa. I'm just going to show this. You take the letter Aleph Dekasa, which we've shown before, that could be making to the shiur of Rayo. So you're going to take from there the misbar of Gimel Av, the Yudin, Ha'olim Rayo, which are also Rayo, L'choch B'dazan. It says about this thing about Rayo, it spells the word Gevura, but as we said before, it has within it 3 avs, which represent the right line, which is the line of Chesed. So he said, and that's also confusing me because the Nukva is made out of Gevuros. She's apparently getting all of these Gevuros, but here he's talking about, these are Chesadim that he's talking about. So I'm a little confused about that. So, Lahamshik Ma'os Aleph, he says, the Kasa. Should see also, you could say that Aleph has the seer of Rayo. And Rayo turns out that it's Misbar Gimel Av, the Yudin Ha'olim Rayo, which the Chochmah is their Anpen. So in the drawing, he shows us the Kasa without the Aleph. So I guess it's implied that you're taking the Aleph and you're going to make a Rayo out of it. So you have a Rayo there, and then you have another Rayo below it. That's the way I see it. I don't know why you have it twice. He says you have it twice. So, from the Aleph alone. And also, you know, if you want to do, if I was going to do this, I would just put the letter Aleph here. But he wants to let us know that it's not just any Aleph. And this has some significance, which I don't know, of why it has to be Kasa. So, because there's other ways you could spell Ekia. So, at any rate, the Gematria Rayo. So, over here we have the Gematria Rayo. Then he says, the Gimel Kli Chochmah Dezer Anpen, Shuhu Yud, Shehi Yud. So he says, once again, let me see, Gimel Kli Chochmah Dezer Anpen, the Chochmah Dezer Anpen is a Yud. And he shows you the Kalim. Okay, I try to analyze the Kalim, but, you know, one is, so they're just what they are. And Misham Labina, and then it comes to Bina. What's coming to Bina? So he shows, now this we haven't really analyzed that much before, he shows the Makif and the Panimi of the lights. These are the lights that are coming into Bina. And he says the right line of Chochmah, the left line is Bina, and the middle line is Das. I think I might have missed something. Did I read the blurb that was on page 18? Or I forget to do that. Oh, I did. I read it all. Because I figured there was something I was missing here. Okay, he starts with number Kaf, down at the bottom. It's not a big piece. And he says Kaf. He says, Rayo. There's an aspect of Rayo Be'ima. Shemisham Nishbach B'chashefah that become Imas where the Shefa comes from. So we're going to say there's going to be a Rayo in Ima. He said, "V'hindach and the El b'tevis baruch nimshach b'shefa shal shlosha shemos sag sheyihu ima os yosechem heim olim rayo." So he says, what, you have 30 letters in 3 sags, and you have you have also the 3 times is 128, I think. 128 plus 30 is going to get you, or maybe it's 129 plus 30. It's going to get you to 3 more. So he said, olim rayo kashemoridim mechem shlosha hakolim. So take away the kolim from them, which I'm not sure. I saw a definition that kolim means the shorish. So he's taking the shorish away. And apparently we have Rishus, as the Rav tells you have a Rishus to have this as your Kavanah, and inside of that combination, which is going to be 219 instead of 216, is find a 216. There's a 216 there. But apparently you could pull it out of a combination. All of this comes from the Os Aleph of the word Akia. But meanwhile, hand shitzer also Rayo, which has that same concept. Haresh de Pamem Rayo, so you have Rayo twice here on their Mazim parts of Ima, which is a reference to the parts of Ima. Bakan though, B'tevis Atah, when you say the word Atah, Hu Ba'ofen Acher Katzas is slightly a little bit different. You are going to make a combination of letters. He said, so here we have that idea up above. up above over here, 3 avs. So he says, so Rayo, Behem Nimshachem Ma'os Aleph Shal Akia B'milu Yudin, which we saw before. And again, the question is, why did you need that particular Akia? What's pshat in that particular Akia? It's the highest Akia. So he said, I would say, Behem Nimshachem Ma'os. So what do we, wait just 1 second, one more. So you have 3 Akias. One is on the right, one is on the left, and one, I guess, is the Malchusdika one, which is in the middle. So the right side would be that which would be pertaining to Chochmah. So it would be, so it would go down the right side. You're talking about Oros. Okay, so I'm just trying to analyze it, trying to understand how the Rav sees this. I'm not the Rav, so okay, get into that mind. Behem Nimshachem Ma'os Aleph, they all come from the Aleph, so the Akia B'milu Yudin, Shitzur also, Tsuras Aleph is a Rayo. So all this is coming from this Rayo. Nimsagam came base Pamem Rayo, so he said, not enough that you have one Rayo. He says, Yudin, in Shitzuros Aleph Rayo, Nimsagam came Pamem, base Pamem Rayo. Let's see what time we have here. Okay. So let's stop here, and there's another, because the next keta here is going to be a little bit different, and so we'll see what that is before I get into that. Well, let me take it back. Let me just read the top line, which is an extension of what we saw before. Yeah, so he says, once again, if you went back to the previous page, at the top, it says, L'hamshech ma'os aleph dekasa, shetziyuru rayo, misbar gimel av the yudin ha'olim rayo l'chochma de zer anpen. So you're going to have all this going to chochma zer anpen. And I'm just assuming that the connection between av and kasa, there is a connection there. So, because they both would be, say, coming down the right line, possibly, not sure. But at any rate, the line 1 of the Hamshach, what's the idea here? He says the stream, the Yud, Shehu B'chochma L'gabi the Hey, Shehi Bina Shetziraso Ro, V'na'asavav. So just that little bit right there I'm going to do. And he says, number Kof Aleph. No, we haven't get to that yet. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the statement. That's where we'll stop right now. And we'll get it tomorrow. We'll come up and get the rest of it.